The night fell over Baghdad with a heavy, knowing silence, as if the very darkness understood the doom that was approaching. On the far side of the horizon, the countless campfires of the Mongol horde lit up the sky like a grotesque and false dawn, a terrifying spectacle of flickering orange that promised not the hope of morning, but an all-consuming fire that would leave only ashes in its wake. And in the center of this impending storm, directing the tempest with a mere glance, was Hulagu Khan, the formidable grandson of Genghis, a man whose name would forever be whispered with a potent mix of awe and absolute terror throughout the annals of history. He was not merely a conqueror moving from one victory to the next, he was an unstoppable force of nature, a divine wind sent by the heavens themselves to scourge the earth of its arrogance and pride, to humble empires that had dared to believe they were beyond reach. The once mighty Abbasid Caliphate, a civilization that had been the brilliant, shining center of the world for half a millennium, had grown complacent in its power, its armies now weak and undisciplined, its leaders utterly blinded by centuries of unchallenged intellectual and cultural supremacy that had bred a fatal overconfidence. They foolishly believed their towering walls and their glorious history would be enough to protect them from any threat. Hulagu, in stark contrast, believed only in the sharpness of his countless swords and the fierce, unwavering loyalty of his battle-hardened Tumans, his divisions of 10,000 warriors who had already swept across continents. He had already mercilessly crushed the feared assassins in their impregnable mountain fortresses, and now the crown jewel of Islam, the legendary city of Baghdad, lay seemingly undefended and vulnerable before him, its fate hanging in the balance. The caliph's desperate, last-minute attempts at negotiation were met with cold, ruthless pragmatism. Hollow promises of safety were made by the Mongols only to be immediately broken, for Hulagu saw them not as legitimate deals between equals, but as the pathetic and transparent delaying tactics of a condemned man already walking to the gallows, trying to bargain for a few more moments of life. When the massive siege engines finally began their relentless, thunderous assault on the city's defenses, the great libraries and renowned universities that had for generations held the precious wisdom of ages, the collected knowledge of the known world, were instantly reduced to being mere kindling for the invaders' fires. The House of Wisdom, that magnificent and unparalleled archive of human knowledge and achievement, saw its priceless books torn apart in a frenzy of destruction, their delicate pages callously thrown into the muddy waters of the Tigris in such unimaginable numbers that legend later said the river ran black with ink and red with the blood of the brave scholars who had tried in vain to save them. The very waterway was choked with the floating words of great philosophers, brilliant scientists, and inspired poets, creating a literal river of tears for an entire civilization that was being systematically and deliberately erased from existence. This was not just a simple military defeat played out on a battlefield, it was a calculated and vicious act of total cultural annihilation, a brutal message carved into the very bedrock of history itself that no power, however ancient or revered, is truly eternal or safe from the tides of change and destruction. Hulagu did not just conquer a city through force of arms, he broke its very spirit, its soul, ensuring its illustrious name would forever be followed by a single, haunting image, that of two great rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates, weeping silently for all the grandeur and the horror they had been forced to witness, their sorrowful waters slowly carrying the ashes of a golden age out to a vast, uncaring, and forgetful sea.